Just a lot of rain and flooding related disasters going on across the planet right now. There's just been nonstop rain.
We start off with this devastating story out of South Central China.
At least 56 people have been killed. Basically, they've had a lot of heavy rain and it's pushed a lot of rivers out of their banks with more than 1 million people evacuated. This isn't the only spot across the globe that's been dealing with a lot of rain. There's been a disaster as well in India where monsoon flooding in the northeast has killed at least 20 people.
Now to the deadly flooding in Japan. Torrential rains have triggered not just flooding, but also landslides, both forcing hundreds of thousands of people to flee their homes. Many structures have been damaged or destroyed.
The Philippines has been struck by a 6.5 magnitude earthquake. The center of the strong earthquake first hit at a magnitude of 6.9 near the center of Tacloban, but the towns of Jaro and Kenanga were then hit by a 6.5 magnitude.
Terrifying moments in Indonesia as this volcano erupts. Dozens of people were running for safety.
Phoenix, it was so darn hot the planes couldn't even take off. Yeah, the air was so not dense that, we couldn't even get enough lift on the wings. We've also had a lot of fires around the Southwest over the last couple of weeks. And
nearly every single state has been dealing with wildfires.
At least 22 people were killed in the last 2 days by just lightning during monsoons in Bangladesh. Yeah, have a look at this video of an earthquake that happened overnight in Montana, which, by the way, was a 5.8 earthquake. You probably heard about the more than 140 people that were killed in landslides that were caused by monsoons last week. But
in just 8 days, Guatemala has suffered another major earthquake, a 6.8 in magnitude off the Pacific coast. But this is the second major earthquake in just 8 days. The last one was also off the coast of Guatemala.
Oh, there's just absolute chaos in southern Japan. Overflowing rivers dragged vehicles away, destroyed buildings, roads and bridges. Rice fields and homes got flooded. You had, reports of broken trees that washed down from mountainsides that were blocking roads.
There is still chance of more torrential rain. I urge everyone in Japan to pay attention to weather information updates from radio and television broadcasts.
Stay cool.
There were other people. Why should you be the only one involved? But I am involved. We are all involved.
I need your love. This is a Thor News presentation. Hit the button, baby.
The people have the right to fight for their lives.
Thor News presents.
My thoughts and prayers go out to all the people affected by the floods, wildfires, earthquakes, mudslides. These are scary and crazy times. And so forgive me if I'm a bit weather paranoid and overreact at times. But I do fear that the situation will get worse before it gets better. And that Earth acts in seasons and cycles. So what we are seeing happening in Asia will eventually come to the United States. So this is the time to rise above the media's hell-bent divide and conquer distraction techniques. This is why when so many Republicans and conservatives celebrate Trump's victory, against CNN, I ask, when is the president going to warn people of what is coming? The fact that our government, Republicans and Democrats, and our media are colluding to keep people distracted from the real stories we need to know about is probably the doomiest of all. It's always darkest before the dawn. And I do think there shall be big changes. Eventually we'll step into a better world. But these are strange days indeed.
Nearly every single state has been dealing with wildfires.
Close to 40 wildfires are reportedly blazing from Washington to Arizona.
Nevada, up in Washington, California, even the Bryan Head fire, they are still trying to get a grip on that.
Thousands of acres of land are burning in eastern Washington. In northern California, the Winters fire has burned over 1,000 acres. The Roach fire has grown to 2,500 acres in Arizona, leading to 100 homes being evacuated.
Near Breckenridge, Colorado, a growing wildfire has forced more than 450 people to evacuate their homes.
A wildfire near the Bryan Head Resort in southern Utah is growing at an unprecedented rate. The columns of smoke from the fire are creating their own winds.
A massive wildfire in Nevada's Palomino Valley has also forced evacuations. The several thousand-acre wildfire is only 35% contained.
Right now, it's 43 square miles, almost 28,000 acres have burned. More homes have burned, we know that, but officials don't know exactly how many. because the smoke keeps blocking their view from above. There's a 48-mile stretch of Highway 143 that's closed right now.
I said, oh my God, this is something I've never seen in 33 years of living in Summit County.
So we're still dealing with dangerous heat and also those dangerous wildfires. We have high pressure, upper level high pressure, still situated here on the West Coast.
Well, it's been really hot. It has been brutally hot.
118 degrees. That's actually enough to keep dozens of planes grounded, and there were a lot of planes grounded. Another story that came as kind of a result of the heat, I would say, would be a military surveillance drone that crashed in the Sierra Nevada mountains. That set off a fire. Authorities are investigating what caused the drone to crash in the first place. Extreme heat also caused a freight train to derail in California. The officials are saying that the track buckled in the hot weather, and that forced nearly 20 cars to derail. I've never heard of that, a train track just buckling because of hot weather. Well, there is a flooding disaster that's unfolding in southern China.
500,000 people had to be evacuated in Japan. Tropical cyclone Namdal made landfall on July 4th. It brought historic levels of rain, 16 to 24 inches. 20 inches of that fell in just one day on July 5th. A lot of the rescue efforts have been hampered because of mud flows. It's a mountainous area, so if you get all that rainfall on the mountains, it's going to come down with a lot of debris and mud.
We also had overflowing rivers that dragged vehicles away. They destroyed buildings, roads, and bridges. Rice fields and homes were flooded. Broken trees washed down from mountainsides and blocked roads.
This is what's left standing in the Japanese city of Asakura after torrential rains blasting the area on Thursday took a tragic turn. Residents telling horror stories of family members being swept away by the waters or trees tearing through walls of their residences. With landslides reported in several areas, the government rushing to send aid.
Transport has been disrupted. A lot of roads have been closed due to high water, and of course flights have been delayed at major airports. Heavy mud from landslides and the high water that's just continued to be a problem, of course, making rescues very difficult. Some 12,000 Japanese troops and rescue workers have joined in search and recovery efforts. And adding to the concern is the fact that there's more flooding in the forecast for eastern parts of Japan.
In areas where the flooding has stopped, debris is everywhere, piling up on streets and around people's homes.
And it's left the state of Assam reeling. And again, that's in far eastern India. So we've had a pretty significant earthquake in the central Philippines. So this one was a pretty big deal, a 6.5 magnitude. And the problem with this particular earthquake was that it was very shallow, about 6.5 kilometers down. Generally, these more shallow earthquakes tend to do more damage. Have a look at this video of an earthquake that happened overnight in Montana. And by the way, it was a 5.8 earthquake. That'll probably move some furniture and damage some walls along the Lewis Range in the Rocky Mountains. Of course, there is a reason that the mountains are there in the first place. So
Tropical Storm Cindy has already caused 2 states of emergency to be declared, one in Alabama and one in Louisiana.
And notice all that coastal overwash.
At least minor storm surge flooding that we've had in spots, but it's been bad enough to cause some issues. Look at this in Alabama. That's I-10, and you can see a little causeway under there that is underwater. We've also had several roads that have been closed due to flooding. In Texas, heavy wind and rain absolutely pounded the coast. Just wide-reaching impacts from things like storm surge flooding to just regular old flooding, which actually has been the biggest problem. Flash flooding. We've had several reports of tornadoes. There's just been this non-stop just stream of tropical moisture coming in from the south.
And those spin-ups we've been seeing.
And look at this. We had a tornado hit the west side of Birmingham. We had a lot of water spouts as well, by the way, in not only Florida, but off the coast of parts of Mississippi as well.
That's a tornado from yesterday. There's a look at central Kansas earlier this week.
It has gotten so bad that last year disaster officials decided to plant 1 million palm trees to help reduce lightning death. The idea being that the trees would kind of soak up the lightning strikes and it would hit more trees and less people. We'll see how that works out.
In Phoenix, Arizona this week, 118 degrees was enough to keep dozens of planes grounded.
We've had a lot of severe weather over the last couple of days.
Check out this explosion. Holy cow.